The life of Hollywood diva Grace Kelly was like a fairy tale. Her father was a millionaire, so she lived in wealth from birth and got everything she wanted. Grace fulfilled her biggest dream and became the most successful actress of her time, winning an Oscar. All she needed was to become the prince's wife for complete happiness. Soon the Prince of Monaco proposed to her. Their wedding was so luxurious that it went down in history as the most impressive wedding of the 20th century. At that moment, it seemed to everyone that the happiest period of her life was beginning as the new Princess of Monaco. However, the reality completely differed from the beautiful fairy tales about princesses. It turned out this marriage was unhappy, and every day in Monaco was a real torment for Princess Grace. Why did this beautiful fairy tale have such a sad ending? Is it true that the curse of the royal family of Monaco is to blame? Grace Kelly grew up in a luxurious 17-room home in Philadelphia in a wealthy family. She always felt like a princess and even confidently told her sister Peggy at a young age, "One day I'm going to be a princess." Her words proved prophetic. Before becoming a real princess, she had a successful career in Hollywood. Financially secure, she carefully chose her roles and never agreed to second-rate projects. This also applied to her choice of partners. Before becoming the wife of Prince Rainier III of Monaco, she had several affairs. Known for her incredible beauty, Grace Kelly always received attention from men who crowded around her, hoping to catch her eye. In his book Hitchcock's Blondes, author Lawrence Limer wrote that Grace Kelly reportedly led a promiscuous life before marrying the prince. Despite her innocent looks, Limer claims the actress was not as innocent as she appeared. He said she had a knack for charming people and was quite manipulative. Limer writes, "People huddled around her, seeking her attention, and she knew how to use them." He also alleges that Grace had her first affair as a teenager while studying at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York. Reportedly, she was involved with her 30-year-old teacher, Don Richardson. Despite her deep feelings, her parents disapproved of the relationship. They objected to Richardson because he was still legally married and also because they wanted a more prestigious match for their daughter, given their wealthy background. The more famous Grace Kelly became, the more lovers lined up for her. Now she preferred only very successful men, mostly millionaires, who were a match for her. Among her alleged lovers were the famous millionaire and restaurateur Claude Charles Philippe, a socialite and ambassador for Pakistan Ali Khan. The actress loved to receive luxurious gifts from her rich lovers and had a special passion for gold and precious stones. The author claims she received luxurious gold bracelet with emeralds as a gift from millionaire playboy Ali Khan. At that time, Khan, who was married to another actress, Rita Hayworth, gave the same bracelets to his other mistresses. Khan was famed for his generosity as much as for his sexual prowess, and the bracelets were tokens of appreciation. With so many lovers, it made sense that, as often as not, he passed out the same gift, writes the book's author. Grace once daringly wore the bracelet on a date with another one of her lovers, which enraged him. He tore off her bracelet and threw it into a fish tank. However, the actress seemed pleased that she was making men jealous. She skillfully charmed and manipulated them. Therefore, Prince Rainier III, like anyone else, was impressed at the first meeting with his future wife. Their first meeting took place in May 1955, thanks to actress Olivia de Havilland, famous for her role in the film Gone with the Wind. While she was traveling by train to Cannes with her husband, Paris Match editor Pierre Galanter, they learned that Grace Kelly was also traveling on the same train. They were struck by the idea that the actress could meet the Prince of Monaco. They approached her and asked if she would be willing to meet with Rainier III. Grace immediately agreed on the condition that the meeting would be approved by the studio that sponsored her visit to Cannes. Pierre Galanter quickly arranged this meeting, which took place 2 days later at the Palace of Monaco. The journalist was eager to cover the exclusive meeting between the Prince of Monaco and a popular Hollywood actress. It was a stroke of luck for him. For Grace, this encounter turned out to be truly life-changing. The morning when the couple was supposed to meet was challenging. There was a citywide workers' strike, which caused many houses to be without power. Grace Kelly had to prepare for an important meeting without an iron, hair dryer, or makeup lamp. She had to pull her hair back and put on her only unwrinkled outfit. In addition, she had to walk down several floors because the elevator was not working. A car awaited her near the Carlton Hotel, which took her to the palace. The prince was not there yet when she arrived, so she toured the palace with 225 rooms for almost an hour. Finally, they met and took several photos together for journalists. After the photographers left, they could be alone and explore the gardens and private zoo together, where they relaxed and talked casually. It was at that moment that the first spark ran between them. De Havilland, who saw Kelly at the festival cocktail party later that evening, said she was in a state of enchantment. Following their initial meeting, Kelly and Rainier stayed in touch, even when she returned to America. Just 7 months after their first encounter, Rainier traveled to ask for Kelly's hand in marriage. But what were the reasons behind Prince Rainier's decision to marry Grace Kelly? This relationship was not love at first sight. After the Cannes Festival, Grace Kelly returned home to America and continued acting in films. However, the prince could not forget her and started writing her touching letters, which she found sweet. At first, she didn't take them seriously as she was used to attention from men. Around this time, she also had an affair with the famous American fashion designer Oleg Cassini, who helped craft her image as a vamp. He persistently courted her and gave her huge bouquets of roses. Ultimately, Grace fell deeply in love with him and was ready to marry him. They were frequently seen together at social events. However, the actress's parents strongly criticized her choice, as Oleg Cassini had been married before and had many relationships with beautiful women. Grace's mother considered him an unsuitable husband for her daughter, and her father didn't like his Russian origin. "Do you realize if my mother hadn't been so difficult about Oleg Cassini, I probably would have married him," said Grace Kelly in one of her interviews. Perhaps she later regretted that she had listened to her parents. Oleg Cassini was disappointed by her refusal. This is how he recalled his love story with Grace Kelly. "She kept seeing me despite her family's opposition, even suggesting me get married right away. She told me to find a priest who would marry us. I agreed, but then she got sick and ran down. Once she recovered, she had changed her mind. Her parents had talked her out of it. I didn't see her again until she called to tell me she was engaged to Prince Rainier." The parents were delighted with the Prince of Monaco, who seemed an ideal match for Grace. The prince continued to write her affectionate letters, and a few months later he visited her home in Philadelphia. They walked together, talked about life, and eventually fell in love. The prince proposed to her without hesitation, and she said yes. However, some people doubt that it was true love. Grace decided to become the prince's wife too quickly, which even her relatives noticed. For example, her sister Lisanne admitted, She didn't have time to be really in love. She had been more in love with other people than she was with Rainier when she first met him. I don't know why she decided to marry him so quickly. When asked about marrying a man she hardly knew, Grace supposedly answered, "I will learn to love him." For 26-year-old Grace Kelly, this was primarily an opportunity to finally gain her father's approval, who never praised her or even congratulated her on winning an Oscar. He never liked that his daughter chose a career as an actress, since he considered this profession second-rate for frivolous girls. Only when Grace agreed to become the monarch's wife was her father finally pleased with her choice. Grace had another reason why she wanted to run away to Monaco. Early in her career, she encountered many challenges. She was constantly under the spotlight, with paparazzi following her everywhere and journalists speculating about her personal life. Although she enjoyed her film work and immersed herself in different roles, the constant media attention sometimes overwhelmed her. She wanted to escape Hollywood and found solace in Monaco, a small principality in Europe bordering France, where she could enjoy a more relaxed environment. "I loved working at my craft. I didn't like the public appearance of having to be a movie star," she admitted in her last television interview in 1982, shortly before her tragic death. The actress was also slightly disappointed that she was paid less than male actors. In To Catch a Thief, she received a mere $5,000, while her co-star Cary Grant was paid over $18,000. Where else could she find happiness if not in the luxurious Palace of Monaco with 225 rooms, in the company of a charming prince who is so in love with her? Grace Kelly herself seemed to believe in this fairy tale, which her imagination drew to her when she heard the words, "Marry the prince." The idea of becoming a princess inspired the actress. She dreamed about this since childhood and was used to all her dreams becoming reality. Her ex-boyfriend, Alec Cassini, accepted her choice, and this is what he told her about it. "One of the reasons I believe you are marrying this man is because this is the best script that you ever received in your life. You will be a star for years to come." He was right. The role of the wife of the Prince of Monaco became the main one in the life of Grace Kelly, thanks to which people remember her even after decades. Prince Rainier III had his reasons for marrying the famous Hollywood actress. According to the documentary Royals Keeping the Crown, the prince faced a governance crisis. Like many other European countries after World War II, the small principalities suffered financial and cultural ruin due to a long-standing agreement with France. Prince Rainier III was at risk of losing his crown. To prevent this, he had to revive tourism, which had always been the main industry in his country. Today, Monaco is a famous and glamorous place where millionaires worldwide like to relax. However, it was just a small, unknown principality in the past. Thanks to his marriage to a famous Hollywood actress, the prince glorified his tiny country worldwide and made it one of the most attractive resorts in the world. At that time, the 32-year-old prince also had to produce heirs, so that his principality would not become part of France again. The stakes were too high, and Monaco was under threat to its existence. In the 1940s, Rainier was in a 6-year relationship with Gisèle Pascal, a French film actress. However, their romance ended. Princess Antoinette, Rainier's sisters, sought to obtain the throne of Monaco for her son. She spread malicious rumors that Pascal was unable to have children. A potential marriage was called off when a medical examination incorrectly reported that she was infertile. However, the rumors were later proven false, as Gisèle Pascal married and had a child. At that time, Rainier ended the relationship with the actress because he needed heirs to maintain his throne in Monaco. The prince's advisor suggested an unconventional idea to him to marry a popular Hollywood actress to do PR for his country. The first candidate on the prince's list was actress Marilyn Monroe, but she had to be crossed out because her image was too scandalous. Oscar winner Grace Kelly was the perfect fit for the role. She seemed modest and intelligent, a princess-like quality, and very popular in the Western world. People around Prince Rainier III realized she was ideal as his wife from their first meeting at the Palace of Monaco, and they were proven right. The couple married less than a year after this meeting. For the sake of this marriage, Grace Kelly had to give up a lot. First of all, from her acting career. Balancing royal duties and working in Hollywood was almost impossible, but Grace herself at the time of the wedding probably did not yet realize this, and in the depth of her soul, she dreamed of acting in a movie again. She also had to leave her home in America with her entire family. Moreover, to become the prince's wife, she had to pay a lot of money, $2 million as a dowry. Kelly saved this amount from her and her parents' savings. Some people thought that the actress married the prince for his wealth, but as you can see, this is not the case, because she had to contribute a large amount to the Monaco treasury. She paid to become a princess. The actress's father was reportedly furious when he learned of this demand. "My daughter Grace doesn't have to pay anyone to marry her," he reportedly said, but then came to terms with it. The most outrageous thing is that Grace ended up losing all this money because all she had left after her death was just $10,000 and a small cottage in Ireland where her grandfather lived. This marriage did not bode well for her from the very beginning, and even at her wedding, Grace did not look very cheerful. Grace Kelly had to sail on the ship Constitution for 8 days from New York to Monaco with her 50 family members, 6 bridesmaids, and 50 pieces of luggage to attend her wedding. The difficult journey left her exhausted, and she appeared sad at the wedding due to fatigue. Upon her arrival, there were 8 days of celebration, culminating in a 2-day wedding. Prince Rainier III regretted not inviting her to Monaco earlier, so she could get used to her new home and rest well before the wedding. Their wedding ceremony in April 1956 was fantastic and went down in history as the wedding of the century, their son Prince Albert later told people. It was such an incredible affair, and it's left such a mark on people. But few people know how much preparation there was before this event and how hard it was for the bride and groom during all the ceremonies, which were so tiring. For the royal couple, though, the wedding proved overwhelming and exhausting. It wasn't fun, and in the middle of the turmoil, Grace kept saying, "Maybe we should run off to a small chapel somewhere in the mountains and finish getting married there," Rainier once told his biographer Jeffrey Robinson. "I wish we had, because there was no way either she or I could really enjoy what was happening." The wedding ceremony spanned 2 days. On April 18th, a brief civil ceremony took place in the throne room of the Monaco Palace, lasting only 15 minutes. It took 25 minutes to read all 140 titles that Grace Kelly received when she became the prince's wife. A religious ceremony occurred in St. Nicholas Cathedral with 700 esteemed guests the following day. For the civil ceremony, the actress wore a champagne-colored lace dress, and for the religious ceremony, she wore a wedding dress made by 30 seamstresses from antique Belgian lace. Both dresses were handmade by seamstresses at the film studio where Grace had previously worked and were given to her as a wedding gift. It was the first royal wedding to be televised, a live black-and-white broadcast watched by 30 million European viewers from 9 different countries. 1,800 journalists attended the event, and it became a global media event. At the time of her marriage, Grace Kelly was 27, and at the height of her Hollywood fame, the media described her as the perfect person to add a glamorous touch to Monaco. After the celebration, the pair honeymooned in the Mediterranean on a yacht for 7 weeks. It was so exhausting, Albert tells People, that privately they both said that when they left on their honeymoon and got on the boat, they both just kind of passed out from exhaustion and had a good night's sleep before they got on with enjoying their honeymoon the next day. After marrying Grace Kelly, Prince Rainier successfully modernized Monaco and established an alliance with America through his marriage to a Hollywood icon. Consequently, Monaco became a tax haven for wealthy individuals and a popular international tourist destination during the 1960s. The prince also revitalized the real estate market and the Grand Prix de Monaco auto race. As a result of these efforts, Monaco is now recognized worldwide as a prosperous principality where millionaires enjoy spending their time. Despite the benefits this brought to the prince and his country, why was Grace Kelly so unhappy in this beautiful and prosperous place? Since she arrived in Monaco, Grace has faced significant challenges. Life in a small principality was not what she had envisioned, and she initially felt homesick. Despite agreeing to become the prince's wife, she was uncertain about what lay ahead. She had hoped that Monaco would provide her with solitude and peace, but her duties as a princess required her to be in the public eye constantly. She often expressed her desire to spend more time alone with her husband. After receiving the title of princess, Grace's priority was to produce an heir. A year after her marriage, she gave birth to her first child, Princess Caroline. A year later, she finally had a male heir, Prince Albert. In total, they had 3 children in this marriage. Princess Grace gave birth to her last child, Princess Stephanie, in 1965. Along with her duties as a mother, Grace also had to fulfill her role as a princess. Despite her love for acting, she had to give up her Hollywood career due to her numerous royal responsibilities. She became the president of the Red Cross of Monaco and the patron of Rainbow Coalition Children, an orphanage. She organized a Christmas celebration for orphaned children in Monaco every year, complete with gifts. In addition, the princess also held the positions of president of the Garden Club of Monaco and president of the organizing committee in the International Arts Foundation. However, her new, busy life did not bring her happiness. According to the official biography, Grace had dreamt of becoming an actress since childhood. Having realized her dream, she had to give it up. "I miss acting," Grace told the Los Angeles Times in 1964. "Once you are bitten by the acting bug, you never really get over it." The princess dreamed of returning to the screen, but her husband, Prince Rainier III, was categorically against it. "I don't want my wife to work," he declared. Moreover, he banned all films with her participation from being shown in Monaco. For the sake of self-expression, Grace had to organize annual poetry evenings. However, her husband never attended her participation as he was always emotionally reserved. In 1962, there were rumors that Grace might star in Alfred Hitchcock's film Marnie. The actress considered this possibility, but Monaco never supported it. When a Los Angeles Times reporter visited Monaco and asked locals what they thought if the princess returned to the movies, many said they would stop respecting her if she made that choice. People believed the country might lose prestige if its first lady acted in films. Grace had to listen to people's opinions and refuse the offer. She was heartbroken when she was banned from playing Marnie. Since then, she has given up her dream forever. Instead, she had to focus on her role as a princess and devote herself entirely to social work. The seemingly fairy tale Prince Rainier III was reportedly a controlling and emotionally distant figure. Some sources suggest that he was unfaithful to his wife. In her book, True Grace: The Life and Times of an American Princess, Wendy Lee alleged that Rainier was repeatedly unfaithful and had 3 mistresses within months of their marriage. Grace was humiliated and extremely unhappy, Lee told the Daily Mail. She was surrounded by decadence and Rainier's disreputable friends. Some sources suggest that Grace even desired to divorce the prince to return to Hollywood. But if Grace returned to America, she would most likely lose her children forever, so she would have to accept her fate and stay in Monaco. In addition, Rainier made every effort to sustain this marriage, as he suffered from his parents' separation in childhood. I think the experience of my parents' separation when I was only 6 has subconsciously made me very much want my own marriage to succeed, he confessed. He continued, saying, "We try to turn differences into jokes and not give them more importance than they should have." The fact that this family's life can hardly be called happy is also indicated by the memories of the couple's children. For example, the eldest daughter, Princess Caroline, said that they were closer to their nanny, Maureen Wood, than to their mother as children. When the nanny went on annual leave, they cried and begged her not to go. "For my brother and I, Maureen was the key figure in our life," she said. "When we were little, we were probably closer to our nanny than to our parents." Grace herself admitted to being a harsh disciplinarian when her children were small, just as her draconian mother had been with her. "When Caroline was little, it seemed like I spanked her every other day," she once said. "Albert didn't need as much. A sharp word was enough. Stephanie, I should have been beating her like a gong long ago." Many people believed that Grace was severely depressed while living in Monaco, even though she never publicly spoke about it. She experienced periods of loneliness and despair in a new country where everyone spoke French, but she didn't speak it fluently. Additionally, she and her children were constantly pursued by paparazzi. As Princess Grace herself revealed in a 1982 interview, her daughter Stephanie had to go to her gymnastics classes in the trunk of their car, just so the paparazzi wouldn't follow her. "Even in Hollywood, my private life was pretty much my own. When I married, my private life became public, and I really had no privacy at all, and that was an adjustment to make," Princess Grace told ABC in 1982. Her entire life was under public scrutiny, and the press continually discussed her marriage with the prince and the possibility of an upcoming divorce. Such a public life could be depressing for anyone. According to Judith Balaban-Quinn, the role Grace had taken on was more difficult than any day on a movie set, and she would be called upon to create more illusion than she had as an actress. Despite facing many challenges, Princess Grace and Prince Rainier III spent 26 years together and raised 3 children. Director Herbert Ross offered Princess Grace other film roles, such as one in the late 70s for his film The Turning Point, but Prince Rainier rejected the idea. As a result, Princess Grace participated in poetry reading on stage and provided voice-overs for documentaries. In addition, she became one of the first female members of the 20th Century Fox Film Corporation board in 1976. This role allowed her to occasionally escape her monotonous life in Monaco and engage in the vibrant social scene in America. In 1982, Princess Grace tragically lost her life at the age of 52 in a car accident. That day, she was driving back from the family country home just outside the city with her 17-year-old daughter, Stephanie, in the passenger seat. They chose not to use a driver because the car was too full. so Princess Grace drove herself. During the drive, Grace suffered a minor stroke, causing her to lose control of the vehicle. Both mother and daughter sustained serious injuries and were rushed to the hospital. Unfortunately, Grace did not survive and passed away the following day. Princess Stephanie miraculously survived the accident but was unable to attend her mother's funeral as she was recovering in the hospital for an extended period. The sudden and shocking death of the princess left the entire family devastated. According to Prince Albert, Stephanie struggled to accept that she hadn't been able to save her mom. Well, it took a very long time for her to recover from this, and it was a very painful recollection for her, and it took a number of years for her to come to terms with that, Albert said. As for his father, he never really came to terms with his wife's death. It was pretty obvious that he was deeply affected and he wasn't quite the same man as he was before the accident, he said. It always takes a while for you to recover thanks to your other family members, to your friends, to the people who are dear to you and provide comfort. After the death of his wife, Prince Rainier III never remarried for 23 years until he died in 2005. He lived alone and never recovered from the loss. He was buried next to his wife in Monaco. The Hollywood love story of Grace Kelly and Prince Rainier III is a fairy tale with a tragic ending. Their initial love story seemed touching and beautiful, but reality differed significantly from fairy tales. Unlike the happily ever after endings in fairy tales, the princess did not find happiness in the palace and lived as if in a golden cage. Her story ended too soon and tragically. There has long been a legend in Monaco that the Grimaldi royal family was cursed back in the Middle Ages. There are various versions of the origin of this story. The most famous version claims that Prince Rainier I kidnapped a Flemish woman in the 13th century and violated her. In turn, the woman supposedly cursed the prince and all of his descendants with the words, "Never will a Grimaldi find happiness in marriage." Another version of the myth contends that the curse was the work of a witch who was condemned to be burned at the stake by the prince's order. Allegedly, because of this, no one in this family finds happiness in love. Do you believe that this family was cursed?